and welcome back to A.R. Tales, aka the A.R.T podcast. I am A.R. and today we are joined by another new face, new voice, new author on the podcast, Andrew Kirschner, author of the Miss Infinity series. I believe you just posted about it recently. It's number 51, Amazon Best Superhero Stories books right now.
Yeah, the audiobook is number 51 in superhero stories for teens. Yes,
And
that's the audiobook of Ms. Infinity, Earth's Greatest Hero.
and that is not a small genre. 51 is a nice ranking.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So thanks, by the way, to Stacy Lind, the narrator. I think she did a very good job. She definitely, actually, one of my friends said, gave her a pretty big compliment about that. He said that her narration was perfect. The way he put it, I think, put her narration was exactly in exactly the right headspace for the story, and I think that's exactly right. She gave a sense of wonder. I think she gave the story a sense of wonder, and I think that's very important for a superhero. So,
my God. So like the audiobook is definitely something that I want to cover in a little bit, just because I think that's one of those things that everyone should cover. I myself don't have my audiobook up, and the moment I started just even hearing like little bits of yours and just like seeing your post, I was like, oh my God, I need to get on that venture. So there's 1,000 things that you can enlighten me, the listeners on. But before that, what is the intro into writing? When did you start? Was Miss Infinity your first idea? Had you started writing before?
I mean, I always had some kind of creative outlet. When I was a kid, I wrote comic strips. I used to write songs, still do a little bit. I always hear about these other people around the writing community who always knew they were going to write a book. I was never like that. I was not an English major. I actually had a few different careers. Now I'm also a teacher. Actually, I'm a bit of a career changer. Not that I ever intended to be. What happened with the book is, I was a lifelong fan of Wonder Woman. I was always frustrated with the direction the comic book was taking, but at some point I started thinking, well, how would I do it? If I was to start from scratch, build write my own superhero, how would I do it? And one frustration, I think, with that hero and a lot of superheroes, even their so-called regular job, was always something never in your dreams. Clark Kent, the reporter, Diana Prince on the TV show was a government agent, and of course post reboot. And Diana is, depending on which one you're looking at,
museum
ambassador,
curator, no?
Yeah, or curator now. That's actually, we're talking, I guess, which reboot. But yeah, exactly. It's always something never in your dreams, unless, and so that's why I thought of, I thought it could be something, maybe something like, in a bowling alley or something. It makes sense too, Western civilization doesn't fall apart if she has to run off and transform, right? And then something happened. I got a degree in urban planning, thinking that, okay, now I have a kid, so I'd have to be responsible. So this is I'm certain to get a great job in this. And my urban planning degree turned out to be, a retail job. I got a job as a cashier in a grocery store, and that was the best I could do. So I got this idea for a superwoman with a job as in a retail, and for a long time that was just something I thought about. I didn't think I was actually going to write anything about it. It was just something I just kept in the back of my head, but it developed for a long time. And then I go back to school for teaching, and the best I could do from that. You got to realize this is spending a lot of money, but you have to, because you got to, you know, but best I could do for that for a long time was subbing. One day I sit down thinking I'm just gonna, okay, fine, I'll write a few ideas down because I'm thinking about this a lot. And then I just kept writing. I couldn't stop. And so next thing I know, I'm 60 pages into this thing. And I was like, oh my God, what the heck is it? I've been writing a novel. I mean, I never thought it would happen. The name Bonnie Boring was one of the first things I thought of.
Bonnie Boring?
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like it just was natural. I mean, it was like the obvious secret identity name to me, you know. I was like, okay, you know, but Ms. Infinity took a long time to I ran by a lot of superhero names before I came up with that one. It's not easy. I mean, not easy to think of one that hasn't been used, right? It took a while before I got
Chico
to that.
Banazzi. Guarantee you that hasn't been used.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I even long before I thought of that, I mean, I came up with the in-universe explanation for Bonnie Boring, that it came from, it comes from her alien name, Bland Beauty. Actually, I originally was, you know, and you run by, I mean, it's a long process to this. I mean, even one sort of jokey idea I had was that they even speak English on her planet. There's a joke, the joke being on, you know, old science fiction shows, everyone speaks English, but no, I decided that was just the translation of her name, and they don't even speak using words. They use some weird interdimensional, multi-dimensional, communication. So you can't.
Telepathy.
Yeah, I mean, it's great science fiction, but it was also a little bit of a cop-out, so I didn't even have to think of words in the language. You know, there are no words. Everything just translates. And it was good satire too. So their planet is center, like center of the universe. So they're on one level, they're millions of years ahead of us, and on another level, they're 500 years behind us because they somehow believe they're the center of the universe. That's just, now I'm just musing, but that's how the inspiration came.
So then how did you develop this inspiration, these ideas into a plot, into a story, characters, side characters, themes, motives, tropes?
And that's just the thing. I'm a pantser if there ever was one. I mean, there are people.
So you go around and you pants people? I'm pretty sure that's legal, man.
No, a pantser, okay, as opposed to a plotter. That's sort of the language in the business of. No, let me tell you, when I was in not elementary, like say middle school, I was the one who got pants, not the pantser. But but in the world of writing, plotters and pantsers, plotters are people who outline, pantsers are people who write by the seat of their pants, so to speak. I'm not one who outlines. In fact, when I wrote this first book, I didn't even know people did that. Outlining, what's that? And even now, I'm just very disorganized. I just, things kind of came as they came. I think I always worked from the character out, the main character, and work outwards from that. What is the need? Okay, I know this is a character. She's very powerful, but she works a very low-paying job in her secret identity. So how would that happen, right? And so you work outward from that. All right, so gradually things, and I knew that I wanted her to be relatable. So that's important. I gradually came to understand you wanted her boyfriend, yeah, but you also wanted her best friend. You wanted, and her mother gradually, that was all a part of it. At first, I didn't think about having her parents around, or either parent. That actually took a lot of thinking. I eventually decided to have her mother there. At first, I thought maybe both parents, but then it occurred to me, no. The decision with her father, okay, it's a very sexist planet they come from. You could go either way with the father. Maybe he's someone who disagrees with it, or maybe he's someone who's just as sexist or even worse than the rest of them, and so they had to escape from him. And so that's there's better drama that way, you know. So she and her mother had to escape from them, and it was good to have her mother there because it just humanized her that much more. You know, there was a scene, chapter 4 of the first book, Friends and Mothers, where she's talking about how the line, only in my life are a kidnapping and hostage situation, a back page story. And her mother says, think about what that's like for me, baby. And when I wrote that, I was like taken aback by it. Wow, you know, she's somebody's baby. You know, that was a very humanizing moment. So I'm glad, you know, so that was an important thing. So I think things like that, working outward from the character, you know, the needs, the back, yeah, all of these things. I mean, how would this happen? How would you get something like this? And, you know, I think it was a long exploration, I think. This is a good question.
Well, the reason I asked is because like the whole thing about with like character development, especially like plots and motives, and it's funny that you brought up the kind of whole idea between plotting and pantsing, because I feel no matter how you go with it, that magic moment that you just spoke of, where it's almost like you get like a divine inspiration, just like an idea, like you write something and then you like realize like the depth and the magnitude of it after your fingers had already left the keyboard. And I think that happens no matter what happens. I mean, I am a vigorous plotter. I know every scene, every hair is gonna happen from me. Like I already know what I'm writing for the next like 20 something years. Almost nothing new. It's just maybe new ideas to incorporate, but like everything, I know the deal. But I still have those moments where I go through, and it's just like that, you know, because no matter how much you plan or not, you always get challenges. There's always challenges in writing.
I couldn't do that if I tried. I've tried to. I started sitting down and trying to outline once, and what am I doing? I just couldn't do it. I like was lost. I was like sitting there, you know, and when it's like lesson planning too, I've done that before and I'm lousy at it. You know, and I do it, but because you have to, but I'm really bad at it. And I find once I do get go to the classroom and actually teach, I'm way off script. It's a strange experience getting observed too, but that's a whole other story. But I'm just not like that. And I guess you could, another word for pantser is a discovery writer. I kind of let the characters take control. And I've had a lot of moments like that. I mean, I've been surprised by my own plot twists, and I've often left myself in suspense, like, oh my God, what's going to happen next time I sit down? You know, what's going to happen to Bonnie?
Well, kind of along that lines, and like the whole like creative process, right?
Yeah.
What are challenges that you faced when writing the first book? I'm always very interested in the first book, just because that's like your first time, it's your first dance, it's your first time doing anything. It's like there's nothing you can do that's really wrong, so you just do it to do it.
Oh, I mean, I know it was a weird experience because I felt like I was possessed by the thing. I was like, I couldn't stop. The story was forcing me to write it. And I really have not had that feeling since then. You know, more since then, it's more like I've been disciplining myself to do it. I mean, I need to live with these characters. So I want to do it, but it's not really been the same experience as that first time, where it was like, there was a moment where I knew I couldn't stop without finishing the book. I knew I had to. You know, it was like, and, you know, most of this thing is a space adventure. The first book, Earth's Greatest Hero, where Bonnie, Ms. Infinity, is taking her, you know, love interest / later boyfriend, Hal Holstein, on a space mission. And I think at some point Hal realizes that maybe asking to be taken along was not the smartest idea, because now he's kind of stuck there. And the only way out of it is, you know, to see this thing through to the end. And I think that was where I was in this, where I was like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? I'm writing a novel, and I really felt real kind of stuck in it too. I mean, because the truth is, I had no idea what I was doing. And I mean, if I was any common sense, I would have read some books about how to do this. I would have, I would have maybe thought about things like outlining. I don't know. But the truth is, I really just did it until it was good. I just kept working and working and rewriting and, I mean, I did read some books about it. I don't even remember which ones. I've also, say new to it, but actually this was 2015. It's changed a lot since its initial release. I actually recently had it, this is a relaunch. It was relaunched January 12th, which is Bonnie Boring's official birthday, the day I first started writing.
Hey.
But I had it re-edited recently. So that made, I think, a big difference. So that's all very important. I mean, these are the things I learned. I'm not just a pantser in writing, but I think in things like the publishing process. And I think you learn by doing too. No matter how much you learn. And I've had a few different careers. No matter how much you're taught about something, you can't learn as well until you actually do it. I mean, I think teaching is like that too. I went to St. John's University here in Queens. I almost nothing I learned there, was as useful as what I learned from actually teaching. So, and I think that's true about writing too. You really learn by doing.
Yeah, I mean, like it's the same thing. I mean, right out of college, when you are looking for entry-level jobs, it's literally either you have your 5-year, 6-year, 7-year degree and like all the credibility behind that, or you have like 4 years just working in the same field. It's literally equal. It's like experience like trumps a lot, honestly. And just there's nothing like knowing how to write a book and writing a book. So how did you follow up with that? How did you take your lessons from your first work and like move it on to your continuous ones?
I want to say that, I mean, and here's where it's also, I mean, first of all, you're right. I had straight A's means nothing. They don't, your interviewer does not care. I can tell you that and the same field, please. My students are often like amused by how many different jobs I've had over the years. That's my experience, by the way. I don't think interviewers like that very much, but when they see my resume and it's like a patchwork. But as far as writing goes, it's a little bit, I can't exactly explain so much as when you sit down, I think your writing just gets sharper. I mean, I look at my third book, Infinite Moon, and it's just the focus is just much stronger than the first one, I think. I don't know that the vision is as, I think the first one has the best vision, the most, the vision is right there. Maybe because of the inspiration, but I think that maybe my focus wasn't as good. And now I think that's the thing. Just I'm that much better a writer now. And I think that's what happens. You're more professional as you go along. You have a better sense of how to do it. That said, my current work in progress is a little bit of a mess, and I know this thing needs a lot of cleaning up. But I think knowing that too, there's a process. My second book, I feel like, is the middle child here, Where Infinity Begins. I feel like it never gets any attention. I feel like, and now I look at it and I think it deserves more attention. But that's a whole other thing. That's a plug. Come on, take care. Come on, give this poor Peter Brady a little attention.
Hey, this show is all about plugs and not that way, you filthy listeners.
Yeah. Oh well, here's all of them. By the way, the relaunch is all new covers. And I just got the
covers just got relaunched, people. So again, well,
yeah,
you already know the deal. all the information is going to be in the description. It's going to be in the banners below if you're watching this on YouTube. You know the deal.
Unfortunately, we get things backwards, but Earth's Greatest Hero, Where Infinity Begins. Oh, this is the proof copy, but Where Infinity Begins.
Very cool.
And Infinite Moon.
Okay. Infinite Moon. I love that. So
Infinite. Well, it was started out the working title because the villain is a werewolf. So it started out as like a very Abbott and Costello title, Ms. Infinity versus the werewolf. I mean, Abbott and Costello, like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yeah, or Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I like that.
But eventually I came up with that. My current, similarly, my current work in progress is Ms. Infinity versus the Nanny. So I know that's got to be something.
The Nanny, like
the Nanny. So it's like a Mary Poppins type villain.
Okay.
Nancy Proper is her name. She kidnaps children to her cartoon pocket universe. You know how Mary Poppins, bless you. You know how Mary Poppins takes the children into a little cartoon. So it's that same concept, but it's evil. She's kidnapping.
God damn, that is good. That's very cool. Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Unfortunately, the thing is a mess right now, and I really got to edit it. And the relaunch, okay, first of all, you got to know teaching takes a lot of time. I just spent a whole week grading final exams, and now I'm way behind on grading. And the second thing is that the relaunch took a lot of time too. You'd be surprised how much details this took. So now, I mean, I barely even paid any attention at all to the actual writing. So I'm gonna have to catch up on that. But hopefully, I wanted to say the end of this year, probably sometime early next year. But you gotta know, writing, there's a lot involved in this, so banging something out and having it out there. I know there's some people that manage to put out 3 or 4 books a year, and I can't get my head around that.
The last person I just interviewed is releasing 5 books this year.
I mean, okay.
New 150,000 whip every 100 days.
I can't even imagine.
I know.
I mean, look, you got to understand, besides having a day job, I also have 3 kids. So that's probably what you got to understand. I mean, I guess if that's their only job and they don't have a family, okay. But
actually, believe it or not, it's actually not his only job, but he has a family as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's just different. But again, this is my job. And this and things related to the podcast is what I do, and even I myself, we're just trying to do other aspects of it. Just it's like those games that you put your hand to reach and grab something else, and the moment you go and hold that one, the other ones start leaking. It's the whole
whack-a-mole too.
Yeah, that whole sitcom filter. It's that's what it's like. It's not my hands are not doing all this writing is just leaking.
Yeah, and teaching alone is like that too. I mean, like I said, I spent a week grading the finals, and then I have all this other grading that fell by the wayside because of that. So I have to catch up on that, and now that's all due on Tuesday. So, that's that alone. Never mind the writing, never mind. And, I have my kids pulling at me. Just before this, I had to make breakfast for them, and
and I mean, usually I don't like to do this, but there is an insane blizzard going on. I don't know why. There's some
New York City.
Yeah,
I'm in Queens. I don't know where you are, but I'm in Queens. And I mean, this isn't even the worst of it. I know out on Long Island and other parts of the Northeast, it's a lot worse than this, but we're still looking at least looks like about 10 inches or something. So I'm gonna have some serious shoveling to do.
Yeah, same. Like I told you right before we recorded, times like these, I feel dumb for not having a snowblower.
Well, that's not really a New York City thing. But
it is just so insane.
Yeah.
I have another full day of snow ahead of me as well. the reason I bring that up is because
Yeah.
there is something about snow days that seem magical to me. Like
Yeah.
I love writing, or I like, or anything like with like a nice like dense like plot is something that I just like love getting into, even if it's not my writing, if it's somebody else's, if it's reading, if it's watching like a good movie and not just something to watch, but like something to pay attention to. There's something
Yeah.
that snow days that just bring that out of me. Would you say
Yeah.
that
It
there's
is.
anything like seasonal or anything like that? I personally love during the summer writing outside and like
Yeah.
listening to birds and like just like the wind blow with like the wind chimes. Like I love that. I can zone out and write for hours and hours on that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that it is beautiful out there. The snow, it is absolutely. I mean, last year I know I took a picture of the snow and put it on Instagram just because, um, when it's newly fallen and you're not shoveling it. But
Yeah, it always look beautiful like the first day, and then when it starts getting like
yeah,
mixed in with like dog pee and
yeah,
motor oil,
absolutely,
forget it.
yeah,
Mush and ugly.
yeah. And the summer. I mean, summer is really my season. But and sometimes I'm looking at the sky and I'm imagining my Miss Infinity flying out of it, but or whoever, something. It is. I mean, I being a New Yorker, I like the beach. I don't know, all New York. I guess that's not something that's associated that much with New York, but we have.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, but we have the
Oh,
ocean.
I
That's
live
why
in
I thought.
LA. I like ice skating. Oh, okay.
No, but you see, New York has the beach. We have a summer. It's not okay, not year round. But we have summer and we have an ocean here. It's not like
No, fully
like Ohio or something.
no, I like I've been to Coney Island. I used to live in New York myself.
Yeah,
Yeah, like awesome beach times.
yeah.
But how does living in New York and being in New York, how has that influenced your your stories and your characters? I mean, even the thing itself, I mean, if you look at Marvel, you look at, well, I guess not really DC because they keep it a little more ambiguous, but like in Marvel specifically, every hero is in New York. You would think that like there would at least be one in like random like Ohio, Michigan, I bet they have some problems. I guess not. All New York.
Yeah, well, this, of course, Bonnie is Peter Parker's neighbor. If it were Marvel Universe, she would be. Bonnie lives in Woodside, Queens, and yeah, Queens, New York City is all over this thing. And I celebrate the diversity. It's my neighborhood. I mean, my immediate, just my block alone. I'm sure. I mean, my immediate neighbors have to be at least 6 or 7 cultures right there. I'm Jewish. We got other neighbors who are Jewish, but also Asian. When we say Asian, that could be East Asian, Chinese, or that could be Korean or whatever, Japanese. We also have Indian. We have, you name it. I think our neighbors downstairs are Arab. And that's just right here. That is within 20 feet of us. That's Queens. And I mean, that's even for New York City, even more than the rest of the city. Queens is just amazingly diverse. So if you're going to do New York City, you better show that, and that's the wonder of New York City. So Bonnie's immediate cast, I mean, of course, her boyfriend's Jewish, her best friend is Chinese American, Lisa Lynn, Hal Holstein. And the cast, she herself is ambiguous. I mean, she's not human at all. She's an alien, but she's dark-skinned, olive-skinned, so she could pass for almost anything. A lot of New Yorkers, she could maybe be Hispanic, she could maybe be Indian, Middle Eastern Jew, Arab, who knows? And I mean, that's a lot of New Yorkers. And her name, the extended cast is Hispanic, Arab, African American, Indian, and more. And that's New York, that's America too. I mean, and it's said in the, I mean, I make a point and I troll out this quote every 4th of July, being American can mean coming from every culture, no more, one than any other. If you're American, that you're American. And that's how I feel about it. My grandparents came here, and because they had to they were considered outsiders where they came from, and they came here, and then finally, they're insiders here, and that's, we should be welcoming. I mean, I have her. Bonnie lives right off Roosevelt Avenue, under the 7 train. That's the symbol of immigration, modern day immigration. And I think that I'm making a statement there. I think that immigration is a wonderful thing. I think that's American. Nothing more American than an immigrant. And I think that's important, an important statement.
Well, you brought up an interesting concept right there. I mean, your main character is an alien.
Right.
So we're using the terminology that we use, that means that when your grandparents came over, so were they.
Exactly. They
and
sure were.
And just as you said, they found their way, they made a home, and they prospered the same way that Bonnie did.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the word is prosper for her. But at the moment, she's a cashier, although her mother, by the way, is doing just
but she's
fine.
A superhero. Somebody wrote a comic book about her because she's obviously a real person.
Well, she's actually I'll get to that part in a minute, but she's a cashier. Her mother is actually a professor of physics at City College.
Okay.
So she lives with her mother, so I wouldn't say that she's exactly starving, because she's 26 years old living with her mother, which in New York City, I mean, with the cost of living here, that's not going to be unusual. But also she's just not finding much direction in life. I mean, the irony is, with all of her powers, that she can't really make much money, but that makes sense when you look at it. Her powers don't do anything for her in the big, in the real world of careers, and so what? She has superhuman intelligence. She did horribly in school. She didn't listen. She was sitting there just giving attitude to to her teachers, and she just doesn't have the discipline. She doesn't have, and it's like a gifted child who couldn't make it in school, which is very common. She, so it does make sense when you think about it. I mean, people don't think of it that way as much, but you assume that just because people are very able, automatically that means that they'll just do great. But the world really doesn't work like that. But besides that, yes, it is about immigration. They come from a foreign culture, like many New Yorkers, and then their culture is part of the mosaic. Their culture is a largely very conservative one, although they rebelled from it, being that that they themselves are feminists. The whole reason they had to escape is because it was a very sexist place. But other than that, her mother insists that she has to follow her mother's rules. I mean, she's 26 and she has to do everything her mother says. And there's very strict rules of propriety, right? So yes, it's a culture. It's absolutely.
Well, I honestly just love that. I love that, like, you drew so much inspiration from the things around you, your family members, even the whole idea of the gifted child not being able to. I mean, even that more emotional subplot line, however you want to call it, even that has to be at least somewhat influenced by your experiences as a teacher, and you just like seeing that in other students. So I think that's beautiful how you just like put all that together. And honestly, I am just sold. People, you need to get the series. He has redone the covers. 3 books. He just showed it out to you. Another crazy new one coming soon. You need to hop on these books. Go on his Amazon page. You hit follow. You will get a notification anytime he drops a new book. Get all of them. Leave a review. Support him. Follow him on Instagram. Do what you got to do.
And a couple of shout outs. Jill Brock made the covers. Did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, A. McPherson, by the way, helped me a lot with the marketing. So she also did her books, The Guardian's Daughter, is also great. The editor, I mean, no longer with us, I'm afraid. Audrey Seddon, but I think she just needs to be recognized. Well, just part of the team, my main inspiration for the character is my wife, Elizabeth Kirschner. So I just wanted to get that in there. It's very important. But her personality is Bonnie personality. And she is the superhero in my life.
That is awesome. That's a beautiful
Thank
sentiment. So right before we cut off, I want to ask about the technical side of the audiobook. Enlighten me, enlighten the listeners. So how did you go about the process? At what point did you start realizing that you wanted an audiobook? Did you know right after you finished the editing phase of your first book that you wanted to have that in audio form, or did you realize
it's much
that
more
later
recent?
On?
It's only in the last few months. My friend, actually, another shout out, Kelly Ann Gonzalez, also a good writer. She was the one who actually, we run the Astoria Writers Group here in New York. But she did a few audiobooks of her own. She was the one who turned me on to this. So you can do this through ACX, Amazon. And I didn't even have to spend anything on it because, well, what you have a choice. You can either pay the narrator, or you can share the profits. You can share the royalties, and I chose to sharing the royalties. Then you go through the process of auditioning narrators. So so it takes time, of course. I mean, now, of course, I didn't go. I mean, I never met her in person, Stacy. I chose her out of about 12 of them. Like I said, I really like the sense of, you give them a sample section of the book. I really like the sense of wonder that she gave it. It takes time, of course. I had no idea, and I had never really thought of it, that my book is it's over almost 10 hours. I mean, it's a 300-page book, so yeah, it would be.
How many words?
Like 90 odd thousand, like just under 100,000 words. Okay. Yeah, I mean, had never occurred to me, but so it took a couple of months. What you do, there's a period. First, they give you the first 15-minute sample, and you listen to that, and you approve it or don't approve it. And then when the narrator finishes it, they send it over, and you listen to the whole thing, which of course takes a while. But I actually had a couple of changes I wanted, and she was very good about it. She made the changes. It's a process. I'm very happy with it.
And that was through a company called ACX?
It's part of Amazon.
Okay.
You can actually link to it from Amazon.
Very, very cool. I'll have to definitely look into that. I want to get the ball rolling. I had just been reaching out to voice actors myself, but I didn't know there was that much of an. Again, that is why these conversations, these helps, these podcasts, these interviews are so important. How is it that I've been doing this for a year, and there's I just found out about an Amazon feature right now? I mean, that's insane.
Right. And you don't have to. There are other places you can do it from. I mean, I do have my problems with, this mega corporation and the richest guy in the world, but it is the easiest way to do self-publishing. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm bowing down to, the god of wealth, but there it is. I am. So it's the way, it's working for me right now anyway. Yeah.
So it's actually kind of funny that you brought that into. Do you ever think that you'll make a villain that's kind of like that, kind of like a corporate tech or corporate, industry, titan of industry?
In Where Infinity Begins, it pretty much is. Johnny Gunn is somewhere between Trump and Lex Luthor. So yeah, I pretty much did that. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Look, this has been such an interesting and insightful and really just a fun conversation. I've really been sold on your books and everything. I'm excited. Do you have anything to leave the listeners on for your future endeavors?
My future, well, I have this
The Mary
this
Poppins.
current book I'm
Yeah.
working on. I hope to also get on when I have a little more time, hopefully soon. I will be working on audiobooks for the other two. I also pretty soon, when I can schedule it, I want to do some book signings. I was hoping to do one. I had to reschedule, but I'm going to be doing one here in Queens. I'll announce it soon.
Very cool.
So, thank you.
Very cool. Yeah, I honestly, I wish you all the best. Just I
Thank
cannot. Is there a box set coming soon for the?
Oh yeah, that's well. You can not in a box, but you can order the three of them together. There's a series page.
Awesome, awesome. Again, hop on Amazon. You follow the author. You click on everything. You leave a review. It is so.
Please.
Yeah,
I need
it's
those
such.
reviews.
Yes, it is such a critical thing for
Literally.
self-published authors. Oh, extremely, right? And also just make sure, message them, reach out. If you're touched, moved, speak to them. Get a signed copy. Yeah, exactly. Get a signed copy yourself. Some merch. Who knows?
Yes,
Maybe in a couple of years.
I have author copies. I can
exactly.
I was gonna. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You need to hop on it, folks. It's been a phenomenal conversation. Any last thoughts?
Well, Ms. Infinity says it herself. Never forget the power you have inside you.
Never forget the power you have inside you. Heard it here first, folks, or maybe second or maybe third, but you heard it here. That's a fact. This has been A.R. Tales, aka the A.R.T podcast. I've been A.R. This has been Andrew. You have been blessed by the Miss Infinity idea, and you are going to be blessed with a fourth one coming soon. So make sure to follow this author. Do what you can to support. We will be back with you next week. Peace out.